Hello, Taurus. I'm Poetic Heretic, and this is your October 2019 tarot forecast. So, I will be going over a tarot reading that I have already done prior to this video for you for October 2019 that applies to all Taurian people out there, whether you're a Taurus sun, Taurus rising, or Taurus moon. This all applies to you. Now, because this month is also October and we have Halloween coming up, I have chosen to use the Tarot of Vampires deck by Ian Daniels for a sort of spooky Halloween vibe for this reading. So I hope you like it. I hope you enjoy. To begin with, we have the Nine of Skulls reversed. This is what you got for your current outside influences. So I'm just going to flip it upright and see if I can show it. The camera wants to maybe focus on it. If we can be so lucky. Oh, there it goes. The Nine of Skulls. This is equivalent to the Nine of Pentacles in a classic tarot deck. And you, of course, got it reversed, but this is what it looks like upright. Just showing you what it looks like upright. So the Nine of Skulls reversed for your current outside influences, how you're sort of beginning the month of October, talks a lot of times about being really, really busy with work. And it's interesting how we saw that in your astrology a lot, especially early on in the month, all of that sixth house activity. So this card is saying that a lot of you may feel overburdened with work, no time for pleasantries, all work and no play. That may be a significant risk for a lot of you. And looking at the card coming up as the very next one, it might even be because many of you are feeling pressured from other people, pressured to do a lot more work than maybe is good for you or healthy for you. And so do be wary of that, I would say. Speaking of that card, your next card, your challenge card, is the Seven of Scepters. So let's show that for you real quick. I'm wanting to show all of these cards this month because we are using this unique and interesting deck. However, that doesn't mean it's always going to focus for us. That's always the challenge, isn't it? So I'll move it around, try to get it to work, but if it doesn't work, then we're just going to have to go over it without it focusing. Yes, this is your challenge card, and it is equivalent or correspondent to the Seven of Wands in a classic deck. Okay, well, we're just going to go over it without it focusing then. The Seven of Scepters or Seven of Wands is often indicative of having to sort of stand your ground, often in a moral position, where you're sort of being challenged by other people. Often it could even be a group of people or even just one other person as well. But you're having to sort of stand your ground in what you know is right and not give in. And the cards are saying that's your challenge this month. And like I said, with it crossing over the Nine of Skulls reversed, it could especially be your challenge this month to stand your ground and do what's right for you when it comes to how much you are working. Don't overexert yourself this month just because other people want you to do so. You need to do what's right for you this month, especially, is what the Seven of Scepters is telling you here. Other than that, in a more generalized sense, it could just be holding your position in some kind of argument or some kind of ongoing conflict, where someone else is trying to sort of perhaps usurp your position or force your hand or prove you wrong, and the cards are saying this is your having to stand your ground, essentially. So stand your ground and don't give in. For the underlying energy, everything forming a foundation for your current situation and your immediate environment, you got the Prince of Skulls. Let's take a closer look at that. This corresponds to the King of Pentacles in a classic deck. Of course, it doesn't want to focus for us, I don't think. Oh, there it goes. So first of all, with this being a court card, it may indicate for some of you an earth sign male, that would be another Taurus or Virgo or Capricorn, who is likely acting in a supportive role for you this month and or is in your immediate environment and playing some kind of significant role. If not supportive, then some kind of significant role. Now, if this doesn't manifest as a person, this is also the energy of robustness, hard work, strength, a good work ethic, getting things done. Skulls or pentacles are the element of earth, and earth is all about practicality and hard work and things of this nature. And so remember, though, this is talking about the foundation of your situation. This isn't necessarily talking about you directly. This could be that people around you are very hardworking this month, are very, perhaps even, again, supportive in their hard work. And with what we saw in your astrology, having Venus in the 6th for some of the month, this could be referring to very supportive coworkers, essentially. So all around, good card to get. For the past and issues that you may have had to deal with that have led to your present circumstances, you got the Emperor reversed. Oh boy, oh boy. Here, let's hold that up to the camera. I'm just going to flip it up right for now so you can see what it looks like. Does it want to focus? Let's see if maybe I do this and well, so be it. So you got the Emperor reversed for the past. Now, a lot of times this can manifest as an individual who is very immature, undisciplined, who perhaps doesn't know exactly what they're doing in some way, shape, or form. Perhaps someone who is, how should we say this, unrealistically resistant to authority, but just generally an immature person. So, and again, you got it in the past. So Many of you have likely had to deal with an immature person in your recent past, and that is somehow influencing your present circumstances, including, quite possibly, perhaps, that Nine of Skulls reversed energy where it's like, oh, you're feeling like you have to work more than is good for you this month. So, but it's an interesting contrast, isn't it? Because you do have that support of the Prince of Skulls that we just went over when it comes to work, but you're still feeling overworked. You know, it's like just because you have supportive coworkers doesn't mean that that automatically makes work easy or that you can just do like an infinite amount of it and be all right. No, the cards are saying you still have to stand your ground and do what you have to do. This person may or may not be caught up in that. Now, in other cases, the Emperor reverse can indicate a lack of discipline and a lack of structure, a lack of respect for authority. In some cases, this may even apply to some of you Taurian people out there, and maybe because you weren't disciplined recently, you're now having to really catch up in the present with that Nine of Skulls reversed. You're having to work a lot harder than usual because you weren't working as hard before or something of that nature. It's going to vary from person to person, of course, because this is indeed a general reading. Sometimes, however, in a more positive sense, the Emperor reverse can indicate like less rigidity, a sort of relaxing of tension or a relaxing of being like rather armored or again rigid, and so that can be very helpful. But usually the most common manifestations I've seen of this card whenever it shows up is what we've already been over. One, a person who is rather immature that you've had to deal with, or two, being undisciplined, not having enough order and structure, and that sort of thing, whether that's talking about you or someone else you've had to deal with. And in some cases, yes, this can talk about a sort of lack of respect for authority for whatever reason. And that could be you or someone else yet again. So a couple of possibilities there for you to consider. Of course, I guess one more thing with that card. If you feel like it is yourself that is talking about in having either not enough structure or maybe even, to get a little bit blunt about it, and no offense, but maybe not enough respect for authority, the card is advising you to gain that structure or cultivate that respect for authority. You know, if you don't have respect for authority, and maybe you're even feeling a bit triggered by my even saying that, well, just as a suggestion, I'm not trying to offend anyone, but just as a suggestion, maybe with that card showing up, maybe you might want to explore that a little bit. You know, why is that so potent emotionally for you? You know, not saying that you shouldn't have respect for authority. I'm certainly one to challenge authority when I see it, that as appropriate. You know, anytime, any day, I'll be one to do that. But I do personally believe that authority does have its place, at least in the context of human experience. But anyway, let's not go down that rabbit hole right now. It's just my opinion. For what you hope to achieve, you got the Daughter of Scepters reversed. So let's show this on camera. This is correspondent to the Page of Wands in the classic deck. You got it for what you hope to achieve, what you're reaching for this month, your highest hope this month, your highest wish this month. Don't know if it's going to focus. see if we do something like this. Maybe if I just hold it with one hand, maybe that'll make a difference. Well, whatever. Like I said, you got this card reversed for what you hope to achieve. So this is essentially saying you're hoping to overcome a blockage with the reversal to following your inspiration this month, perhaps starting something new, perhaps living life more spontaneously, more perhaps even intuitively, more action orientedly, if that makes sense. Now, it's interesting that you got it reversed, though, and saying there's some kind of blockage in that area because, well, what might be the blockage? It might be, again, feeling overworked, as we saw earlier with the Nine of Skulls reversed. So it's going to be up to you to figure out how to overcome that. But the cards are showing that potential is there, that potential to overcome that blockage, and more like the card upright, follow your inspiration, follow something new, be more spontaneous, that sort of thing. So that is what we have there. In the near future this month, so about the first week or two of the month, you got Justice. Major Arcana card of Justice. That is what it looks like right there. You would think it'd be easier to get it to focus, but I guess not. Oh well. So, Justice in the near future of this month. Justice talks about a number of things. It talks about simply the idea of justice or fairness. It talks about just verdicts being treated fairly, and indeed, especially if you're involved in legal battles, it talks about coming out the winner, coming out victoriously in legal battles. It talks about also the idea of seeing things clearly and seeing things objectively with its Libran rulership, Libra and air sign. And so in some instances, it's showing up to remind you to try to see things clearly and objectively and try to see both sides of things. And it's interesting how in your astrology this month, we see all of this seventh house activity coming into play. And Libra is the sign that corresponds to the seventh house. And thus we have also this idea of diplomacy with this card. We have the scales, the weighing of one side with another, this idea of relationships, this back and forth sort of thing, this seeking of balance. Though, of course, I say when it comes to especially modern day relationships, what we really need isn't balance so much as we need unification, but that's kind of a whole nother issue. We don't need to weigh one side against another. We need a win-win. We don't need a win-lose. We need a win-win. But, that's kind of another issue. Now, sometimes justice can talk about also this idea of beautifying things with its Venus rulership. And it's interesting because, again, Venus also moving into your 7th house this month, as we talked about in your astrology reading. And actually, well, we could even maybe apply that to Venus in the 6th, but which is like sort of beautifying work stuff. But regardless, this idea of beautifying things can come into play with the Justice card as well. But again, indeed, primarily it's talking about fairness, objectively viewing things, seeing both sides of things, and when it comes in the upright position, having things turn out in your favor, whether it's an actual legal battle, an actual courtroom situation, or just things coming out in your favor in general. So that is very nice indeed. For your attitude or position on the situation, about halfway through the month, you have the 5 of Grails reversed. So let's show this one up close. You got it reversed, but I'm just showing it upright so you can see what it looks like normally. Oh, it actually focused. Yay. So this corresponds to the 5 of Cups in the classic deck. And when you get it reversed, we usually like it better reversed, because reversed, it's like, oh, now there's hope. Now there's optimism. Upright, it'll talk about like disappointment and lost love, sadness, depression, things of that nature. Though even upright, it's still kind of saying that not all is lost. But especially when it's reversed, it's like, oh, the recovery from that, the healing from that. This is how you're feeling this month, or at least about halfway through the month. You're feeling like there's healing and recovery. And I would theorize from your astrology this month, and again, with Venus in your 7th house, quite possibly the healing and repairing of relationships, as we went over in your astrology reading. You know, what are you healing and recovering from? Well, healing of relationships, recovering relationships, or even it could be recovering from past relationships, but it could also be healing current ones, healing and recovering current ones. So very nice card. Now, going right along with that, we do have the 2 of Grails reversed for the outside force coming in. So let's show this on camera. Show it up close. As you might have guessed, based on the last card, this is correspondent to the 2 of Cups in a classic deck. And you got it reversed, but I'm just showing it upright so you can see what it looks like normally. So 2 of Grails reversed for the outside force coming in. I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you, because that's not what I do. There may be some kind of difficult relationship development coming your way this month. This is the outside force coming in. Some kind of significant challenge surrounding love and relationships. Often we would be looking at a romantic relationship being the challenge, but it can also in some cases be like a friendship or some other kind of relationship. However, it's interesting. Remember the other stuff that we just went over. There's all this energy and activity this month around the healing of relationships and like smoothing things out and stuff like that. So overall, it's like it's saying whatever challenge is coming your way this month, you'll have the ability and the wherewithal, or at least the energy will be conducive for it, to heal that challenge or that issue. So that's a very good thing. You know, some will even say that the 2 of Grails or 2 of Cups is so positive that even when it's reversed, it'll still be positive, just not as positive. I don't know if that's true. That hasn't been true in my experience, but for what it's worth, maybe it'll be something that comes your way. I can't talk right now. That isn't even that bad and is like a good thing, just not a super great thing. That's like hell. I'm not omnipotent here. Or I'm not, I should say, omniscient here. So perhaps it could manifest that way for some of you. So for your hopes or fears, you got the Six of Grails. So a lot of water energy here with the Grails. As you might have guessed, this corresponds to the Six of Cups in a classic deck. So it's very interesting this shows up considering what we've already gone over, because Six of Grails or Six of Cups is so often indicative of the new stages or beginning stages of a relationship, dating someone, just getting to know someone, like flirting, new interest in another person. And yes, it can also be nostalgic things. It can also be wanting to return to something in the past or wanting to make something old new again. But it's fascinating when we consider your astrological data this month and the rest of the cards this month, that this would show up in your hopes or fears. It's like saying, well, a lot of you probably are hoping to begin something new this month, a new relationship. Venus sweeps into your seventh house of partnerships, and you're like, I want a new partnership. Now, others, especially if you're already in a relationship, you may be wanting to sort of renew a currently existing relationship and experience the newness, the freshness in that. So a very good card indeed. I think this thing's about to say my connection's unstable. Hopefully it is not, because I want to finish this reading for you. For the final outcome card, you got the Seven of Skulls reversed. So let's hold that up to the camera. This is correspondent to the Seven of Pentacles in a classic tarot deck. Now, of course, you did get it reversed, so it's interesting when taken in context with what else we have here in your astrological data, because the Seven of Skulls or Seven of Pentacles reversed is often an indicator of things getting back to normal, work proceeding smoothly and efficiently, no longer having a sort of like turmoil or upheaval at work, being able to conduct oneself very professionally, things of this nature. So it looks like whatever challenge or issue you dealt with early in the month, especially with perhaps feeling overworked, you have likely overcome by the end of the month. It's literally saying things get back to normal. Now, will that be the case for 100% of you? Maybe not. In some cases, this card can indicate like, oh, we're still not feeling right about our work, or we're still searching for a different job or something like that. But a lot of times, at least the way that I read these cards, whenever this shows up, or this is the equivalent to the Seven of Pentacles reversed. So when that shows up, it's like, oh, now we are recognized, we're seen and recognized for the hard work that we do, and work is proceeding smoothly again, and everything's back to normal. So my interpretation is quite the good card to end the month on. So let me see, was there anything else I wanted to say with all of this? Yes, there was. With this being a 7, you got another 7 this month for your challenge card. You got 2 7s, and the 7th house, as we went over so much already in your astrology, is the house of partnerships and relationships. So needless to say, that is very active for you this month. But it looks like, again, by the end of the month, you come out on top. Things are back to normal, and all's well that ends well, I suppose, as they say. So that's it, Taurus. I hope you have a magnificent October of 2019. While there are some challenges for you this month, it looks like they are all challenges that you are more than capable of overcoming. And you also have that nice supportive earth energy of the Prince of Skulls here to help you. So again, have a great month. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to subscribe if you're not already, as I'll be back soon with more astrology and tarot related videos. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.